This is the Greg Bedard Patriots Podcast with Nick Cattles.
Well, we got an interesting one coming up this weekend. Sunday, 1 o'clock kickoff. Finally, a 1 p.m. kickoff on Sunday this week for the Patriots. We'll get into that in just a minute or two. But first, this episode brought to you by Fanduel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network. New customers get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. And AG1, the daily foundational nutrition supplement that supports whole body health. Greg, I always kind of start with this question for you. Big picture stuff, getting into a matchup. Just your thoughts on the 1-1 Jets versus the 0-2 Patriots.
Yeah, Nick, I'm in kind of a difficult spot. I'm not usually here. I don't know what to expect on Sunday. I really don't. I think that you look at the Jets, they sort of had like a Patriots-like victory in overtime against the Bills to open up the season. Like I've said before, week one is week one. I sort of tossed that out the window. It's because you're not sure what you're going to get. They get the punt return in overtime to beat them. And then in week two, they were thoroughly dominated on the road by the Cowboys. And, the most surprising thing was that the Jets defense, couldn't get the Cowboys off the field. I mean, they gave up almost 400 yards of total offense, 134 yards rushing. But obviously there's the whole Zach Wilson thing at quarterback. And, when I take a look at big picture of where the Patriots are, right now, especially off of what happened against the Dolphins, and you can look at the final score and say, oh, well, they were close and, they make a play here and a play there. We could say that about just about any Patriots game. But, the truth of the matter was that game came down to the Patriots got whooped in the trenches. Their offensive line was terrible. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't protect well enough. And the defensive line had, a really tough time with the Dolphins. Their running game, getting anywhere near Tua, they couldn't marry coverage. Well, they didn't really play coverage for a while until the score was out of reach. But they played back, which allowed Tua, plenty of time to just, in 2 seconds distribute the ball, sort of like a point guard in basketball. And so, to me, Nick, this game is all about the trenches for the Patriots on both sides. This is a gut check game. I mean, they have to play well up front. I mean, they are out of time. 0-3 would just about be a death sentence. Not totally, but when you're looking at going to Dallas the next week, and their offensive line is arguably the best in the league, and their pass rush is probably the best in the league with Micah Parsons. And so, the stand for this Patriots team has to start on Sunday. It has to start in the trenches. They have to be able to run the ball against, and I know the Jets are good, and I know they've had issues, guys in and out of the lineup, and Cole Strange and Michael Wenu just came back last week, and Trent Brown was out last week, and he should be back this week, and I understand all that stuff, but there's no more margin for error. They have to play well on offensive line. And then on the defensive line, they have to whoop the Jets up front, because if they don't, if the Jets are able to run the ball, I mean, it's going to be no secret to what they want to do with Zach Wilson underneath center and at quarterback. They're going to want to stay balanced. They're going to want to keep him out of really tough down and distance situations where he tends to lose his mind and turn the ball over. And so the Patriots' offense and defensive lines, they have to win this game for this team, or else they're staring at 0-3, 0-4 in the face.
Trenches. I agree with you. We'll get into more detail on that in just a couple of minutes. I don't expect either offense to explode on Sunday. It's not going to be that type of game. And it is a crucial game for the Patriots. I don't like using the must-win third game of the year. I just, we've seen teams go on runs, not telling you the Patriots are capable of a let's win 10 out of the next 13 kind of run. But I wouldn't go that far with these guys. But, the must-win, but it's a huge difference. 0-3 going to Dallas, as you mentioned. If you're 1-2 going to Dallas, even if you finish at 1-3, many of us had them 1-3 through the first 4 games. And then you could, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you could actually chart a pathway where the Patriots after week 6 are 3-3. And when you look at the rest of the AFC, there's only 2 teams that have 2 wins right now, Miami and Baltimore. So at 3-3, you're still in the conversation. So crucial game. But before we get, into the details of this game, we mentioned trenches, we mentioned offensive line. You mentioned Trent Brown, who of course was out last week with a concussion. A story about Brown this week, Greg, was that he got paid and he got his incentives. And you and I talked about this going back a few months ago, that Trent Brown, final year of his contract, somebody who hasn't always been the most motivated cat in the world. Would the Patriots take care of him and give him the opportunity of making more money? Well, that's what they've done. About $2 million in incentives. We'll talk about that. Also, Adam Schefter, in his tweet about this negotiation and this kind of restructuring, included Matt Groh's name, which struck many people as kind of weird. Usually when you have a restructuring, I don't think they did this when Matthew Judon restructured. Maybe they did. You have to go back and look at those tweets. But usually when it's a simple incentive thing, you don't really include who helped get the deal done. But Schefter did. So first, Greg, your thoughts on the Trent Brown incentive package and the deal. And then secondly, Schefter including Matt Groh in his post.
Yeah, look, I think this was something smart to do. Trent Brown, like Matthew Judon, obviously took issue with their contract, and certainly Judon had a better case. Trent Brown, was close. I mean, he basically had the Patriots over a barrel. I mean, especially after what we've seen of their tackle position outside of Trent Brown so far. And, I know there's been some discussion about, and the timing definitely looks dubious, that Trent Brown, who didn't leave the opening game, has a concussion after the game, doesn't play, doesn't practice, and then suddenly his contract is tweaked, and now he's back. You can raise the question. I mean, I'm not going to go there. I mean, and some of it is, any head issues are, they're taboo. You don't want to talk about them. You don't want to shame anybody. But I think this was coming in any event. I think the timing just happened to be the timing. And a lot of guys develop concussion symptoms after games. Like once they go home or the next day, you see that a lot in football. But, that Matt Groh's name was attached to this by Adam Schefter. That was definitely noteworthy. And, I'm not sure what to make of it. Do I think this is starting any sort of transition with the Patriots about, how they're going to do things? Not necessarily, because, Matt Patricia's names was on a lot of contracts when he was doing things. But I think in the whole tapestry of where the Patriots are right now, losing seasons 2 out of the last 3 years, they're off to an 0-2 start. They've lost 7 of their last 9. Of only beaten the Cardinals and, Skylar Thompson in those 2 wins. There definitely seems to be some things going on behind the scenes to sort of assure people that, things are being taken care of, and it's not just Belichick, that there are other people involved with what's going on with the Patriots. Snap into action this NFL season with Fanduel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. I love those little suckers, those little bonus bets. It's like free money. If you've been thinking about joining Fanduel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Yeah, and you and I have talked about this. I think we talked about it last pod, and we'll continue to talk about it. This year is the litmus test for Belichick, and he's trying to prove to the rest of the league, hey, I don't have to play your game. I play my game. And if it doesn't work out for him, he's to blame. I did a whole segment on my podcast yesterday about Patriots losing close games. And, some will point to Mac, some will point to Belichick. So if you're doing the blame pie, to me, it's easily Belichick. easily Belichick gets more of the blame for losing these close games. And there's several reasons why, fourth down decisions, going for field goals he shouldn't have, just weird decision making in fourth quarters in close games that he has made from time to time. The fact that, this offense is structured with a very limited ceiling. We've talked about that before. I think, the offensive staff last year and really hurting your chances to even compete against good teams last season. So I put it on Belichick. And I'm not sitting here telling you that he needs to lose his job right now. But if this season continues to go down this road and we're looking at a 5 or 6 win team, yeah, absolutely the conversation needs to be had. And something needs to change. And the guy who should be the most accountable is the guy who runs the program. And, from being the personnel guy to the head coach, he's made a ton of errors the last 3 or 4 years. Since Brady left, it's fact. That's what's happened. All right, let's look at the injury report. Just want to run through what's going on right now. Greg, get your thoughts if anything jumps out at you. Marcus Jones did not practice with that shoulder. He didn't look good walking off the field on Sunday. Looked like he was holding it in place, which usually means broken shoulder, broken clavicle. Usually means something's going on when you're holding your shoulder the way he was. So Marcus Jones, let's start there, did not practice. We should not anticipate seeing him this week and maybe at least for a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I will note that he hasn't been put on IR yet. One way or the other, either seasoning. My fear when I saw the play and the way he reached out to tackle the ball carrier on that, my immediate reaction was torn pectoral muscle.
Yeah.
And that's season ending for anybody.
Yeah.
And normally that comes out like right after the game, so that, or at least the next day, the next couple days. And while the Patriots, we know they manipulate their injuries, any way they want to. So maybe they're just buying some time to do it. But normally in their course of action, if it was a torn pectoral muscle and he was down for the season, they would have moved him to IR already. That they didn't do that sounds like it's some sort of shoulder separation, dislocation type of thing. And normally in those circumstances, you got to see, once the swelling goes down, once he reacts for a couple of days, because Marcus Jones is a young player and everybody heals at a different rate. So, while I think it's almost impossible for him to play this week, that they haven't made a move yet, and it's Thursday at 1:15, at least indicates that it's not catastrophic and season ending for him, which would be really good.
Let's run down the limited list because there's not really many surprises. There's actually one that might surprise some people. Look, Trent Brown, questionable concussion. Sidy Sow, questionable concussion. Of course, you've got Jonathan Jones with the ankle. He's questionable. He was limited. Mike Owenu was limited with his ankle. Cole Strange with his knee. Devontae Parker with his knee. The one that stood out and is the new name on the list is Christian Barmore. And just, Greg, have you heard anything about Barmore? It's a knee. It's listed as a knee. Have you heard anything about him? And really, what have you seen from him through the first 2 games? Because to my non-expert eye, he has not popped really at all, or at least enough. I mean, I guess week 1 he was, I'll take that back. Week 1 he was, I think, 3rd in defensive tackle win rate. So he did kind of pop against Philly. But have you been okay with what Barmore's looked like through the first 2 weeks?
Yeah, as far as his injury, from what I understand, this is just sort of maintenance for him. And this is something, this knee thing is something that has bothered him for a while, dating back to at least last season. I don't think it's overly serious, but you never know. It could be really swollen this week and put him down for this game. I really hope not. As far as his play this season, Nick, it's sort of been a continuation of what we saw in the summer. And everybody knows that for the past couple of years, I've been, even his rookie season, I mean, I've been extremely high on Christian Barmore. I've held out hope that he could be one of those, at least as a pass rusher, one of those dominating inside guys, because he has quickness and he has power that is a big problem for centers and guards in this league. But he had a very nondescript summer. Unfortunately, that has continued into the season. I mean, he's been fine, and the pass rush win rate, I don't know. I'm kind of dubious about that statistic, and it's like, all right, well, okay, fine. He might have beat the guy, but was he in the right place? I mean, he just, bottom line is he hasn't made many plays.
Yeah.
And, this, like we talked about with the defensive line against the Jets offensive line in this game, he's one of these guys. They have to raise their level. They have to be a lot better. Devon Godchow wasn't good in the last game. Christian Barmore wasn't good in the last game. Matthew Judon's doing, stuff. You'd like to see more from Keon White. I mean, he was great in the first game. He was fine in this game. The Dolphins offense, I think, was probably eye-opening for a rookie like him, dealing with some of the stuff that he had to on the edge. This will be a lot more simple thing to deal with with the Jets offense. But yeah, I mean, look, Nick, how many times have we talked about this, that, over the past couple of years, like the Patriots, have a really good, like, middle of their roster. They don't have much on the top. And those guys who are in the middle or towards the top middle, those guys have to take step forward for this team to be good and to contend for anything. And Barmore's one of those guys that you look at and you're like, all right, this week against the Jets, I know it's probably going to be tough going against Elijah Vera Tucker, but if you get some other matchups in there, these guys got to start winning. Barmore's got to start winning. He's got to be impactful. It can't just be Judon. It can't just be Uche once in a while in passing situations. It's got to be all of them, especially in the front seven. And it would be huge if Barmore can stay on the field and start doing anything. But, if you're just judging off what he's done to this point from off-season camps to now, I don't know if you should have a whole lot of hope that he's going to take a step forward this season, because he hasn't done it, like, ever this season.
AG1 is the daily foundational nutrition supplement that supports whole body health. I drink it literally every day. I gave AG1 a try because I was tired of buying and taking a million different pills and vitamins. I wanted something quick, convenient, and packed with all the good and essential stuff I needed to get through the day. I drink AG1 first thing in the morning before starting my day, and it makes me feel like I could take on the world. Tastes great, gives me a little boost, and then later on is the big payoff. Off AG1, I'm grinding to get through the day, looking at the clock. On AG1, I'm primed and sharp, especially mentally, for my very long days, especially during training camp. Covering my nutritional basis for the day literally couldn't be any easier, which is why I trust AG1. I just mix one small scoop with water and drink it first thing in the morning. Done. I also like that it costs less than $3 a day. Pretty good if you ask me. It's a really effective daily habit with high-quality sourced ingredients. Win-win. If a comprehensive solution is what you need for your supplement routine, then try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/Bedard. That's drinkag1.com/Bedard. Check it out.
All right, we'll stick with the defense here, Greg. When we look at this matchup between the defense and the Jets offense, Zach Wilson, of course, is now the starting quarterback. Starting with the defensive line, you've kind of highlighted some things as far as winning in the trenches. What do you see from the Jets offensive line? How do you feel about these different matchups that we're going to see between Jets O-line, Pats D-line?
Okay, so, just looking back to last season's matchups and sort of what I wrote about them, the Patriots got incredible pass rush against the Jets in both matchups last year. The second one, they had 43% pressure rate. The first one, they had almost 40%. I mean, and we saw what the defense was able to do against the Jets in both those matchups. That's going to happen again. They have to pressure Zach Wilson when they get the opportunity, at a 40% clip. I mean, that's just got to happen in this game. Now, you look at the Jets offensive line, and I was just looking at the PFF offensive line rankings, and the Jets are 21st in the league, and the Patriots are 24th in offensive line rankings. And, when you look at their personnel across the board, old man Dwayne Brown is at left tackle. He's ancient. He's not that good. Laken Tomlinson is at left guard. He's not that good. Connor McGovern is not any good at center. Vera Tucker is the right guard. He's good. He's excellent. And then you have Mekhi Becton, who is supremely talented and a big dude, but has not played well at this point. I mean, the Jets' offensive line, they have, and I saw this stat from Pro Football Talk said, or Pro Football Focus said, the Jets rank dead last in the NFL in pass blocking efficiency after allowing 19 pressures on 33 blocking snaps in week 2. I mean, and week 1 was just about the same.
My God.
I mean, if you think the Patriots offensive line can't pass block, like the Jets have been even worse. And so, when you see that, when you see how the Patriots, won both their matchups against the Jets last year, and it was very close, and it was defensive oriented, and the games were boring as hell until, Marcus Jones returned a punt for a game-winning touchdown against the Jets. The Patriots have to whip the Jets up front, and the nightmare scenario for the Patriots is that they can't do it. That guys like Godjaw and Barmore and Wise and hopefully they don't play Ekawale anymore against the run, but that those guys can't get off their blocks, that they can't affect the game, that the linemen are able to get up on the linebackers, and all of a sudden the running game. Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook are legit number 1 running backs, both of them, and if you're the Jets and you're game planning for the Patriots, you got to be like, we're gonna try to run the ball, and we're not gonna let Zach Wilson do anything, and that's a path to victory for them. I mean, if the Patriots are sloppy up front on their defensive line and with their linebackers and with their run fits, and they allow the Jets, Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook, to do what they do, that's the path. And that's a nightmare scenario where they can't get off the field. All of a sudden, the Jets are taking shot plays when the Patriots are being aggressive. Like, that's what I talk about when I talk about the Patriots have to dominate up front. They have to stop the running game. They have to make the Jets one-dimensional. They have to get pressure when they do get in that circumstance. And the matchup dictates that, but the Patriots have to go out and do it. Like, the Eagles and the Dolphins were tough matchups, and they gave up some stuff. But this matchup, they have to win.
No doubt. Just a few kind of stats and thoughts to highlight some of the things that you were saying and push back on one or two things. But before I do that, we do have an update from the practice field. Marcus Jones, not on the practice field. It's not a surprise, but Sidy Sow is not on the practice field. Of course, he had the concussion along with Trent Brown. Brown is out there. Sidy Sow is not. So relatively speaking, pretty damn healthy for the team this week with those two guys not being there. Devon Godchow is back on the field. Most likely had to do with a personal situation. Congratulations. I believe Godchow just had a new baby in the world that was delivered. So congrats to him. All right, just go back on the Patriots defense versus Jets offense. I've got a stat for you here, Greg. The Patriots pass rush has to eat. And I mean like just feast. Warren Sharp, I believe Greg's a fan. I'm a fan. Warren does great work. Mm-hmm. He posted today. I want people to absorb this number. The Jets offensive line has allowed 52% pressure without the opposition blitzing. Just straight up pass rush. My D-line against your D-line. 52% of the time, it's resulted in pressures. That is god-awful. The Jets have not committed to the run. Now, some of that was score last week against the Cowboys. It got out of hand. But part of that is also they're managing Breece Hall coming back from the injury. I don't know if it's because he wasn't part of the preseason. He didn't have a camp, but Dalvin Cook has not looked very good. He hasn't been productive, and he hasn't looked necessarily fast or explosive. Again, that might just be him getting his feet underneath him. I'm not going to rule it out that, he gets it going a little bit here. And when you look at Zach Wilson, which there's been a lot of talk about Zach Wilson this week, and rightfully so, he has been pressured against the Patriots, pressured 46% of his dropbacks. So, the Patriots know how to get pressure on him for sure. They've done it over and over and over again. When you look at last year, 4 picks and 1 touchdown, whatever it was. And one more thing I wanted to ask you, Greg, because you watch the film and you know better than I. I just kind of watch the games as they go and keep notes. Nathaniel Hackett. There's a lot of talk about Hackett, and not just because Sean Payton called him out the season kicked off, but what happened in Denver last year. I have not been, again, layman guy here, but I have not been super impressed with Hackett without an elite quarterback. He had Rodgers, obviously, in Green Bay. That helps. Denver, it was just an atrocity last year. And yes, some of that is obviously Russell Wilson. He looks like he's, if not washed, close. But what do you see from this Jets offense? Because I was reading some stuff this week from their side of things, and there seems to be some frustration from some of the people that cover this team with how Hackett is approaching things, even with Zach Wilson at quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I can only go off of, what I see on the film, especially, I watched the film against the Cowboys. Mostly I was curious about how the Cowboys were able to be as productive as they were against the Jets offense, but I watched a little bit of the Jets offense, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know what a guy's supposed to do with Zach Wilson, and I don't know what a guy's supposed to do with a cashed Russell Wilson, because I don't exactly think he's off to a flying start with Sean Payton in Denver this year as well. I know a little bit about Nathaniel from his time in Green Bay. I know that Rodgers swears by him. I'm a little bit dubious about that because sometimes Aaron just swears by people who, affirm what he believes and, doesn't really challenge him that much. So, I don't know. It's tough for me to, similar to Bill O'Brien with the Patriots, it's tough for me to indict an offensive coordinator when, look, they're in similar places a little bit. Yeah. I mean, like both of them have crappy offensive lines. They can't run the ball. Everybody knows they need to run the ball and be balanced at the least to have a real chance on offense. I mean, at least the Jets have some weapons that they can use as opposed to the Patriots. And so, and the other side of the coin is, this is Aaron Rodgers' offense. It was constructed for him by Nathaniel Hackett, his personal offensive coordinator. They brought in guys from Green Bay like Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb to put in the offense, and now it's Zach Wilson running that offense. And so, is it the most innovative thing in the world? No, but I just think it's tough to tell exactly where the fault lies with all that's going on with the Jets up front and at the quarterback position.
All of that is fair. All fair points made by you.
With the busy fall season already in swing, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help fuel you up fast with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. First of all, I got an email saying, be on the lookout for it when it was delivered. It was ready to go. You could tell that it was fresh. These guys know what they're doing. Too busy to cook this fall, but want to make sure you're eating well. With Factor, skip the extra trip to the grocery store and the chopping, the prepping, the cleaning too, while still getting flavor and nutritional quality you need. Factor's never frozen fresh meals are ready in just 2 minutes. So all you have to do is heat and enjoy and get back to crushing your goals. I loved, this was my favorite one, loaded bacon shredded chicken with sauteed spinach, green beans, and ranch sour cream. This only has 650 calories. I got the keto option to keep with my diet. There are so many options over there. Basically anything you want to do in terms of dietary restrictions, they can do it. You got to check it out. Head to factormeals.com/Bedard50. That's code Bedard50, BEDARD 50 at factormeals.com/Bedard50 to get 50% off.
All right, let's move to the other side of the football, Greg. Let's talk about this Patriots offense against this Jets defense. Again, it starts with the Jets defensive line and that matchup up front.
Yeah, I'm just looking back to last year, a couple of notes on the two matchups with the Jets. Number one, David Andrews did not play in the first matchup against the Jets, and he only according to my stats, he only lasted 15 plays against the Jets in the second one, or he only played 15. James Ferentz played a lot in both matchups, which is never good, even though he was their best offensive lineman, according to my ratings, in both games. The big issues, we talk about winning this game in the trenches. And the reason probably why those games were so close last year is because the Patriots got whooped on the offensive line last year against the Jets. If they got better play out of their offensive line, they probably win those games more comfortably. But you look at the first game, they gave up we were ragging on the Jets offensive line. Listen to these numbers. First matchup, pressure percentage, 48.9%. The run stuff percentage was 47%.
Oh my God.
Matchup number 2, pressure rate, 35%. Still a lot. Stuff rate, 38%. And you look at both matchups, and Cole Strange was definitely down the list. I remember him just getting worked in these matchups. He gave up combined 7 total quarterback pressures in both matchups. A ton of run stuffs. He had a tough time. Michael Wenu did not do well in this matchup at all. Hopefully having David Andrews back, full-time at center will help a lot of things. Trent Brown did okay in both matchups, so you can feel good about that. So, look, I'm scared to death of this matchup up front with the Patriots. They do not have a good history against these guys. They need to be a lot better. A lot of people criticized Mac Jones in the 2 matchups last year. I remember looking back at the film, and I wrote about this at the time, that, I thought, yes, there was the roughing the passer call on Jonathan Franklin Myers that overturned a pick 6 that probably would have ended the game. But I thought that Mac played well in both matchups. I mean, I had him. I could tell you, there's not a lot of plays to be made against this Jets defense when you're in this state for the Patriots. And the first matchup last year, I had him for 7+ plays. The second matchup, I had him for 1+ play. You'd like to get to double digits, and that just tells you how tough the sledding is against this Jets offense. And, look, you're hoping that Billy O'Brien makes a difference in all of that, whether it's avoiding pressure, putting them in better running situations, allowing the quarterback to make a few more plays. But, it's going to start up front against this team, against the Jets, as always. And, it's an unbelievably tough matchup. I mean, Quinnen Williams is tremendous. Jonathan Franklin Myers is one of my favorite players on film on the end. Jermaine Johnson is pretty good. I haven't even seen Will McDonald there. I think he was the 15th overall pick. I remember watching him in the preseason. He was awesome. Quentin Jefferson at defensive tackle is really good. The linebackers are awesome, all 3 of them. And then you have, you have Sauce Gardner, and he will be on the defense's left most of the time. So that would be, Kendrick Bourne or Juju Smith-Schuster a lot of the time for the Patriots. And then it'll be DJ Reed against Devontae Parker. That's sort of where teams go to make plays. Even though DJ Reed is good, you can make some plays against him. But, look, the Patriots are going to have to find a way to run the ball and run it successfully. They have to, considering the challenge this week and next week. They can't wait any longer. These guys, Trent Brown has to play well. Cole Strange, David Andrews, Michael Wenu, whoever at right tackle. I would say maybe Vidarian Lowe, give him a chance after last week and how bad Calvin Anderson got whooped. Those guys, they got killed against the Dolphins. And hopefully their film sessions were, shameful, and it motivates them, because they have to win this matchup, or else the Patriots are going to lose this game.
Yeah, 3 notes for you. That defensive line that Greg keeps talking about, and I know Greg isn't the biggest fan of the whole, win rate and run stop win rate and all that stuff, but the Jets are 12th in the NFL right now in run stop win rate. And if you're looking at the Patriots run game, we know they haven't been good. The Patriots run block win rate is 27th in the league. So looking at just an analytic like that, tells you it could be a very, very tough situation for the Patriots run game again on Sunday. And if that's the case, we're talking one-dimensional. We're talking about, Mac having to try to carry this team and deal with pressure himself and all of those things. And with two good corners from the Jets and, your lack of top-tier talent on the outside. So that run game is going to be challenged, no doubt, yet again this weekend. Pro Football Focus says, the Jets zone has been very effective. They have the second highest grade from Pro Football Focus when they talk about zone coverage. They don't deploy it as much as other teams, but when they play it, it's the second highest grade in the league. And, PFF notes that the Patriots wide receivers have not been very good against the zone. And really what interests me too is the strength versus strength. And I think it's a significant if in this game, the way it's going to be played, but red zone. And it's going to be interesting. You Patriots, the one thing they've done really well offensively is finish drives when they get to the red zone. They've moved the ball. They've got to the plus side of the field a bunch. They haven't finished a lot of those drives due to penalties, sacks, and turnovers. But when they've gotten into the red area, they're the fourth best red zone offense in the league with touchdown percentage. And as a matter of fact, if you look at the Patriots' touchdown percentage this year, which has them fourth, if you look back to last season, same exact percentage. If memory serves me correct, it's 71.43. Same exact percentage was number one in the NFL last year. So when they've gotten in the red zone, they have done really well. However, the Jets' red zone defense is seventh in the league. So that's why I think it's going to be pretty tough to score some points in this game because of all the reasons we're talking about. But that strength versus strength will be fascinating to see play out. Check out BSJ, of course, $50 a year. Bedard and Giardi, Mike Giardi, tag teaming on Patriots coverage. Best sources around to give you the most accurate reporting on your football team this season. I was watching Mike's video that he put up yesterday about some of the errors that were made in that Dolphins game. Keon White losing the edge on one good run, for example. Some good stuff from Mike there. All right, let's get to the FanDuel line, Greg. Patriots are favored by 2.5, and FanDuel and Vegas, they're warning you. If you like offensive football, this might not be the game for you. The over-under is 37. Greg, give it to us. What you got?
It's like they're expecting them to throw rocks in this game. I'm not 100% sure where I am on this game, but look, I can't. It's hard for me to fathom a world where the Patriots are 0-3 and losing to Zach Wilson. I don't care if it's at New York and Bill Belichick losing to the Jets, who they have won 14 straight in this series. I don't know how they're going to do it. They're going to need their defense to dominate this game. They're going to need the offensive line, as we said, to do their part and make the Patriots a little bit more balanced. But the Patriots find a way, and whether it's 3 points or 7 points or 10 points, I somewhat like the Patriots in this game.
I don't know if it's the matchup, or I don't know if it's you going overboard last week, and now you're getting a little hesitant on us.
Yeah, look, Nick, that shook my foundation. Normally, as we talked about, when I have conviction about, I see an opponent on film where I'm like, well, this is right up the Patriots' alley. This is what they're going to do. And then they don't do it. And maybe it's because they know they can't block at all at this point. And then they had a couple of guards who hadn't seen live action in a while. But look, the Patriots got whooped up front. And I don't think the final score was anywhere close to how they were thoroughly dominated by the Dolphins on both offense and defense. And, I was shocked by it. I mean, it was good that they had a chance to stay in the game and possibly tie the game, and who knows what happens. But that was a game that I thought was in the Patriots' wheelhouse, and that it wasn't has definitely left me a bit shaken about where this team is.
Little PTMD, post-traumatic Miami disorder. I'm going to go with the Patriots, and I agree with a lot of what you said, obviously, throughout this podcast. It seems like you and I are back on the same page when looking at games and trying to figure out what's going to happen in those games. I don't think this is going to be very aesthetically pleasing for anybody unless you really enjoy defensive football. I could see a number of sacks. I could see a few turnovers. I could see just a fist fight in a phone booth here. But I'll go Patriots, and I'll go under 37. I don't know, 16-9, somewhere in that area, in that region somewhere. Pats 16, Jets 9. Zach Wilson will inevitably make some mistakes. So, I'm confident about the Patriots' ability to win this game and do enough, especially against Zach Wilson. But it's a dangerous, scary game because if, Mac dealing with pressure again can turn the ball over, if you don't get the run game going, this is the kind of game where 1 or 2 turnovers, it's a completely different game. So we can almost guarantee Zach will turn it over at least once. It's will Mac or the Patriots turn it over, and then that's when it gets a little messy. But we both got the Patriots in a very likely ugly football game. Hopefully everybody enjoys it as much as they can on Sunday. Now that we've talked it up. Episode brought to you by Fanduel, exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network. New customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. He's Greg. I'm Nick. We'll talk to you early next week. We'll wrap this one up. Jets, Patriots on Sunday, 1 o'clock kickoff, which is nice. The game might not be that nice.
What if there was an app that used AI and machine learning to suggest smart sports bets? There is, and it's called Odds Are. It is a mobile app you need to know what bets of the day are smart ones. Download the app, sign up for an account, and let the latest data analysis guide you through today's point spreads, money lines, and over-unders. I just did it. It's easy. If you see green, that's a smart bet. If you see yellow, you're on your own. If you see red, don't do it. Odds Are doesn't take your bet, it makes you better at it. With Odds Are on your mobile phone, you're a tap away from making a smart play. It's smart betting made simple. Find Odds Are app in the App Store or on Google Play. Get a 2 free week trial. It's just $10 a month after that. But hey, listen to that. That's for the usual people, the normal people. Listeners to this podcast, the Greg Bedard Patriots Podcast, you actually get a special deal. Get your first 30 days of the app free. Just go to oddsr.com/Bedard to download the app. That's oddsr.com/Bedard. 30 days of smarter betting free. We'd call that a winning bet. The casinos and sportsbook want you to bet. Odds Are wants you to win. Go get it.